You're sitting in your walk-in closet, surrounded by designer dresses you barely wear anymore, staring at a hidden bank statement that just shattered your entire world. Your husband of 15 years, the man who swore he'd never hurt you, has been living a complete double life. Secret apartment, secret girlfriend, even a secret kid on the way. But here's the twist that made my blood run cold, and then boil. The perfect life he was so proud of, the house, the cars, the 7-figure business we built together, it was never his to begin with. It was mine. And in that moment, something inside me snapped, not with tears, with a smile, because while he was busy cheating, I had been building something he never even knew existed. By the time I was done with him, he didn't just lose his mistress, he lost his company, his reputation, his freedom, and every single penny he thought was his. This is the story of how I went full nuclear and made my cheating husband regret the day he ever underestimated me. If you've ever been betrayed by someone who was supposed to love you, if you've ever fantasized about the moment they realize they messed with the wrong person, then you are going to love this story. Hit that like button right now if you're ready for some ice-cold, well-deserved revenge. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because I post the most satisfying Reddit revenge stories every single week. Let's dive in. My name is... well, let's just call me Emily. For years, that's who I was. Emily, the perfect wife, the supportive one, the one who gave up her career to raise our 2 beautiful daughters, while my husband, Mark, built what everyone thought was his tech company. From the outside, we were goals: big house in the suburbs, annual family vacations to Fiji, Mark pulling in millions as the CEO of a cybersecurity firm that was exploding. Everyone said I was so lucky. Mark is such a good provider, they'd gush at dinner parties. You're living the dream, Emily. And I smiled. I always smiled, because that's what good wives do, right? But let me take you back to how it all started crumbling. It was a Tuesday in March. The girls were at school. Mark was at the office, which I later learned meant banging his 26-year-old assistant in the company penthouse he rented for client meetings. I was cleaning out his study, something I rarely did because Mark was weirdly territorial about his space, when I found it. A second phone, hidden in a false bottom drawer behind old tax documents. My heart started racing before I even turned it on. The lock screen was a photo of him with a woman I'd never seen before. Young, blonde, glowing with that pregnancy radiance. My stomach dropped. I knew his passcode. It was our wedding date. Of course it was. The messages. Oh, God, the messages. Can't wait to hold our son, babe. Once the divorce is final, we can finally be a real family. She suspects nothing. She's too busy playing housewife to notice I'm gone half the week. And the worst one, the one that made me see red. Emily was always so pathetic, cried when I told her to quit her job after the first kid, like she ever had real ambition anyway. I sat there on the hardwood floor, phone in my shaking hands, rereading that sentence over and over. Pathetic. That's what he thought of me. The woman who put her Stanford computer science degree on hold to support his startup. The woman who wrote half the code for his genius encryption software when we were broke newlyweds living on ramen. The woman who handled investors, did the books, raised his children, and made him look like a family man while he built his empire. Pathetic. Something shifted in me that day. The tears came, but they weren't sad tears. They were the kind that come right before a storm. Because Mark had no idea who he had actually married. Let me paint you a picture of Mark, the real Mark. Tall, charming, always in tailored suits, the kind of guy who could sell ice to penguins. Everyone loved him. Investors threw money at him. Employees worshipped him. But behind closed doors, he was cruel in that quiet, gaslighting way that makes you question your own sanity. "You're overreacting, Emily. You're too emotional. If you were more exciting, maybe I wouldn't work so late." For years, I believed him. I dimmed my light so his could shine brighter. But finding that phone, it was like someone flipped a switch. All those years of self-doubt, gone, replaced with something cold, calculated, dangerous. I didn't cry to my friends. I didn't confront him. I went silent, and I started planning. See, what Mark never knew, what no one knew, was that I had never actually stopped working. Back when the company started, Mark insisted on putting everything in his name for tax reasons. Said it looked better having a single visionary CEO. I was young, in love, trusted him completely, so I signed the papers, but I never stopped coding. While Mark was out networking and closing deals, I was building something in secret, my own company, a competing cybersecurity firm that did everything his did, but better, faster, cheaper. I worked at night after the kids were asleep, used pseudonyms, built it from our basement on a laptop he never noticed. By year 10 of our marriage, my little side project was quietly making more money than Mark's company ever had. I had investors who thought I was a mysterious genius operating out of Eastern Europe. I had patents filed under shell companies. I had everything. And Mark? He had no clue, because to him I was just pathetic Emily, the housewife. The first phase of my revenge was information gathering. I hired the most expensive private investigator money could buy, paid in cash from my secret accounts. Within 2 weeks, I had everything. Photos of Mark with his mistress, Sarah, yes, his assistant, the same one who brought coffee to our holiday parties and called me Mrs. Thompson while sleeping with my husband. Bank records showing he'd been funneling company money into their love nest. Emails where he bragged to friends about how easy it was to fool me. Even DNA proof that the baby Sarah was carrying? 100% his. I compiled it all into a beautiful little folder labelled Divorce Evidence. But I wasn't ready to use it yet. No, I wanted him to feel safe, secure, like he had won. For 6 months, I played the perfect wife better than ever. Cooked his favourite meals, wore lingerie to bed, told him how proud I was of his hard work. All while quietly executing my master plan. Step 1. I started poaching his best employees. Not obviously, subtly. A late-night encrypted message here, a better offer there. Remote work, double salary, equity that actually vests. By month 4, half his engineering team had quietly accepted offers from my company, which was now rebranded and ready for launch. Step 2, I contacted his biggest clients. Again, not as Emily Thompson, as Alexandra Voss, the mysterious CEO of Voss Security Solutions. "We've been watching your account closely," I'd say in perfectly professional tones. "There are concerning vulnerabilities in your current provider's infrastructure. We'd love to show you something better." They were intrigued, especially when I could demonstrate, using code Mark himself had written, exactly how easy it would be to hack his systems. Step 3. The legal trap. I met with the most ruthless divorce attorney in the state, showed her everything, the infidelity, the embezzlement from company funds, the secret child. In our state, infidelity alone can destroy someone in divorce court, but using marital assets to support a secret family, that's criminal. The attorney actually laughed when she saw the evidence. "This isn't a divorce," she told me. "This is an annihilation." The launch day of my company was set for the same week Mark planned to leave me. He'd already hired his own lawyer, Already started moving money into offshore accounts. Already told Sarah, "Just a few more months, babe. Then we'll have it all." Poor Sarah. She actually believed he was going to leave his pathetic wife for her. The day it all went down, I'll remember it forever. Mark came home early, said he had big news. I was in the kitchen making his favourite lasagna, wearing the apron he'd bought me for our 10th anniversary. "Emily," he said, barely able to contain his excitement, "we need to talk." I turned around slowly, drying my hands on a towel. "What's wrong, honey?" I asked sweetly. He couldn't even look me in the eye. I've been unhappy for a long time. This marriage, it's not working. I met someone else, someone who actually challenges me, excites me." The words I'd been waiting to hear, the words that used to terrify me. Now, they felt like the starting gun at a race. "Someone else?" I gasped, bringing my hand to my chest. "Mark, how could you?" He actually rolled his eyes. "Save the dramatics, Emily. We both know this has been coming. Sarah is pregnant. We're in love. I want a divorce." Then he slid the papers across the kitchen island. Already prepared. Already cruel. He was offering me $50,000 and the minivan. The house was premarital assets. A lie. The company was his sole creation. I was to be left with nothing. I picked up the papers with trembling hands, Oscar-worthy trembling. There's something you should know first," I whispered. He sighed dramatically. "What now?" I pulled out my phone, pressed play on a video. It was security footage from his secret apartment, him and Sarah. Explicit doesn't even begin to cover it. His face went white. "How did you—" "That's not all," I said, my voice getting stronger. I opened my laptop on the counter, showed him the launch page for Voss Security Solutions. Live now. With a press release announcing we'd just secured contracts with every single one of his former clients. Total value, $87 million in the first year. His mouth actually fell open. "That logo," he stammered, that's similar to—" "It's better," I said calmly, "because unlike your company, mine actually works. No back doors, no vulnerabilities, no embezzlement trails leading straight to your mistress's rent payments." He started to get angry then. "This is some kind of joke. You couldn't—" "Couldn't what?" I interrupted, stepping closer. "Build a company better than yours while raising your children and pretending to be the perfect little housewife you needed me to be?" I watched the realization hit him like a freight train. All those late nights he thought I was watching Netflix, I was stealing his market share. All those girls' trips I took, meeting with investors. All those times he bragged about his genius code. I'd already patented improvements under different names. You bitch," he whispered. And that's when I smiled for real. "Oh, honey," I said, picking up my own divorce papers, the ones my attorney had prepared. "You haven't seen anything yet." What happened next was beautiful. First, the company. Since Mark had committed fraud by using business funds for personal expenses, specifically his affair, the board, which I now controlled through proxy votes I'd been quietly accumulating, voted to remove him as CEO, effective immediately. He showed up to work the next day and his keycard didn't work. Security escorted him out while employees, the ones he thought were loyal, watched in silence. Many of them were already working for me remotely. Then came the divorce. Our prenup, the one he'd forced me to sign, turned out it was invalid because, and this is my favourite part, Mark had forged my signature on the final version after I'd refused to sign the punitive terms. My attorney found the original with my real signature and the altered one. Forgery is a felony. Mark's face in court when the judge read the forensic report? Priceless. He lost custody, the affairs, the secret child, the embezzlement. He lost the house, bought with money from my company that he'd funneled into our joint accounts. He lost everything. Even Sarah left him. Once she realised there was no money coming, no lifestyle, no future. Last I heard, she put the baby up for adoption and moved back to Ohio. Mark? He's living in a studio apartment that smells like regret and instant noodles. Working as a freelance coder, making $40,000 a year. Every time he applies for a job, they Google him. And the first result? Articles about the disgraced CEO who lost his company to the wife he cheated on, the wife he called pathetic. Sometimes late at night he still gets emails from anonymous accounts with just one sentence: "Never underestimate a woman who has nothing left to lose." That would be me. Looking back, the sweetest part wasn't the money or watching him fall. It was realizing my own worth. For years, I let someone else define it, never again. Sometimes justice doesn't come from the universe. Sometimes you have to build it yourself, line by line of code, one secret at a time. Phew, if that didn't give you chills, I don't know what will. Drop a like if this was the most satisfying revenge you've heard all week. I think it might be mine too. In the comments, tell me, what's the most nuclear revenge you've ever seen or pulled off yourself? I read every single one, and if you want more stories of people getting exactly what they deserve, subscribe and hit that bell. We've got a new one coming tomorrow. Thanks for watching, fam. Stay strong out there, and remember, never ever underestimate the quiet ones. See you in the next one.